Of course I think we can win, and I'm fighting every single day to win.
We've now put forward a plan that... Is that bird worrying you?
Yeah. They're afraid of us. They can see that our movement is growing.
Well, you're not going to have a stand in the Parliament.
Let there be 1,000 lessons learned as far as I'm concerned.
This is the 4ZZZ Break the Election podcast for the Queensland state election in 2024.
Hello, and welcome to 4ZZZ Breaks the Election podcast, just one day from the 2024 Queensland state election. My name's Alexis Pink, I'm the news coordinator here at 4ZZZ, and joining me in studio today are...
Morning, I'm Joel.
Morning, I'm Natalie.
Good morning, I'm Anthony.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Thank you very much for having us, Alexis, in this final podcast before the election.
Yeah.
Very excited to be here.
In this podcast series, we'll be bringing you up to date with the election and breaking down what is being said and why. Okay, so no one wrote any names in any of the boxes?
No, but I will be reading the first story.
Okay, Joel.
Stephen Miles was filmed bench pressing 100 kilograms yesterday, Alexis, fulfilling a promise made to social media personality John Wyeth. Through his campaign for the state election, the Premier has had a large social media presence, joining in for run clubs, posting food-making videos, and other social media content untypical of politicians. By contrast, Chris Fully has spent the days leading up to the election this week commenting on contentious subjects such as women's right to choose.
Okay, so there's some interesting stuff to do with this particular topic. Stephen Miles' use of social media. You guys are regular social media users, right?
Yeah. Right, we are, yeah.
What do you think of Stephen Miles' TikToks so far?
First word comes to mind is definitely fun. You know?
Fun?
Yeah. I choose to engage with it. It's not a task, you know. He's actually producing content that people kind of want to see. It's funny to say that your politicians are doing things that you can relate to, right?
Yeah. Any other thoughts about that?
It's really engaging. I think it's really cool how he kind of tries to vibe with everyone and be like, yeah, I'm going to bench press because that's what everyone does these days, you know?
Yeah, and it's an active campaign, you know. He was seen earlier on having a drink at the Caxton. He's going in all directions with it, going to run club, engaging in that kind of partying culture and the fitness industry as well. He knows what youth are interested in at the moment, and I think that really comes to show.
Okay, these are not words I usually associate with politicians at all.
No.
So, you think it's been a good move?
Absolutely. I think that more people in my age group know the name Stephen Miles than they have politicians at previous elections. Maybe they know David Crisafulli as well by extension because of his popularity, but there's something to be said about his social media presence and having a voice to the youth.
All right, let's talk about Crisafulli for a bit.
Yep.
What are your impressions of Crisafulli's social media?
Dead.
Dead?
Very, very, very much so dead. I haven't seen anything on my social media at all relating to him.
So it's totally Skibidi toilets?
Yeah, honestly. The only thing I've seen is he is against this, he's against this. But no, Stephen Miles is all on my For You page.
Yeah, it is the things that he's against more so.
Yeah, and there is something to be said about the leaders' polls as well. We're going to talk about leader polls in a minute, but Stephen Miles has looked a lot more, energetic on the campaign trail and a lot more approachable and likeable. Sometimes the LNP leader has not been approachable at all, with LNP people going ahead of him to make sure there aren't any dissenters on the street as he walks by. Which is very over-media managed.
Yeah.
And it's probably grating on the electorate just a little bit.
Yeah.
We definitely end up hearing more negative things about him because he's not establishing his own social media presence. So it's fewer and further between and more negative generally than Stephen Miles.
All right. Natalie, you've got the next story?
Yes, I do. So the polls continue narrowing in the Queensland election, with the ALP leader Stephen Miles just a few points behind David Crisafulli. Newspoll, on behalf of News Corp, reported primary vote tallies of 42 for the LNP, 33% for Labor, 11 points for the Greens and 8% for One Nation, for a two-party preferred estimate of 52.5 to 47.5 to the LNP. Stephen Miles has now overtaken David Crisafulli as a preferred leader, 45% to 42.
Yep, very interesting poll. Was that what you were thinking was going to happen 4 weeks ago?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because, the polling was 56-44 in Resolve at the time. Newspoll had it at 55-45. So it's narrowed in 2.5.
Do you know about this preferred leader poll a month ago as well? Was that similar? Or?
No, Stephen Miles was well behind.
Yeah,
oh, really?
I remember that, yeah.
So those have switched over too. So that social media strategy is looking pretty good.
Yeah, not
he's
bad.
well, yeah.
Not bad.
Also, popular policies have helped quite a lot. The 50-cent fares have gone over pretty well, as far as I can tell.
As a uni student, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm all for for it.
Yeah.
Do I want to spend $5-10 a week? No, I think
But also approaches to GP clinics as well. The school lunches thing, the Courier Mail took quite a few shots at that one. But generally speaking, people seem to like fed children.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know, shocking idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like a lot of the policies that hit for people are the ones that really fit in that cost of living basket.
Oh, of course. The ones that we see now. They're the ones that I actually deal with on a day-to-day basis. And being in our age group, we are a little more minded in the moment as opposed to the long-term effects of, I don't know, negative
But we are
gearing.
in Brisbane, right? And as people in Brisbane, we don't feel the youth crime crisis as much as, say, people up north do.
Yes.
And maybe their day-to-day lives are more about worrying about those sorts of issues, especially if your car's been pinched 3 times in the last 4 years, or if you've had a couple home break-ins. It's hard to judge how this might turn out. This election is going to be the big drive between rural Queensland and urban Queensland. That's my impression. We've got a few minutes to talk about your impressions of the election. You've been watching this thing for 4 weeks now. What's your takeaway message from this? What really struck you in this election?
For listeners at 4ZZZ or for people in our age group?
For you personally.
For me personally. Don't let other people's policies affect your conversation. People have gotten really caught up responding to accusations, false information and subject matter of other politicians as opposed to telling people what they are going to be doing. Nothing frustrates me more than not really knowing what my major politicians stand for. All I know is what they're against and what they don't want to do. And I just think it's a negative viewpoint.
How about you?
I second that. I honestly, he just put everything I was going to say in words.
Probably, you might have a few other reflections, no doubt.
I like Stephen Miles. He's good. David, I respect David, but I don't know. There's no personality. Where's the emotional personality? You know, he doesn't relate to people as much as Stephen does.
Yeah,
fair point.
Stephen, first name basis. Hey.
Hey,
Yeah, and I like that Stephen Miles, in one of his Instagram reels, he brings up one of his daughters to the food making videos. It's really fun for young generations like us to watch and to engage with what he really talks about, and even people are not really aware of what he talks about. They want to click into that video and they want to listen to what Stephen Miles is going to talk about them, or
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting reflections. The thing that I've taken away from this election is that you can never really know the outcome of an election on the first day of campaigning. This election has been a surprise in terms of how much things have changed over the course of 4 weeks. No one thought that a 55-45 was overturnable. Today it looks more possible than not. So we're going to have to wait for the polls to come in, but that's a problem for tomorrow, I suppose.
Can't wait.
And that is the big thing. Tomorrow night, the 4ZZZ Breaks the Election crew will be in studio to be talking about the results from the state election, live on air from 6 p.m. on Saturday.
You're going to be there the whole time, Alexis?
I will be there the whole time.
That's an election promise right there.
But in the meantime, we should probably close up. That's all we have for the 4ZZZ Breaks the Election podcast today. For more updates, you can find us on 4ZZZ on our morning bulletins, Brisbane Line on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at midday, and make sure to catch the Pineapple Rebellion on 9am on Friday. If you want to support the project, subscribe to 4ZZZ at 4ZZZ.org.au/support. Thanks for joining us today, and we will be back on Monday to do a big wrap-up of the state election. Goodbye!
Bye!